All right, today I want to show some new ruler and measurement tools that we have. They're not exactly completely new, but we've added 3 to 4 new functionality things with the measurement ruler tools. So if you go up to markup now, it'll kind of take you to the top view here, and then you can go to ruler. By default, we have the snap to grid option on. And what that does is it snaps it to the 1 foot squared grid here. So basically it's actually every 6 inches. So if you zoom in a bunch, you'll see that there's a square and then it's got 4 squares inside of it. And that's basically 6 inches. So every little square is 6 inches. So it snaps to every 6 inches there. And that's on by default, but you can turn that off and then it won't snap to anything. So just to show you an example of that, you might want to show, let's say from the edge of this wall to the stage is 12 feet. So I'm just going to draw that. And that'll give me a measurement there. Something that we added as well is, let's say you know that you want to make it a specific measurement. You can click on this little dot right here and then click on the numbers here and change it. Let's say we want it to be 13.5 feet. So you can change the measurement just by doing that really quickly. So let's remove that for now. Another option is the snap to object option here. This one is a little more sort of situational. It can work well in some scenarios and not necessarily as well in others. So if I wanted to show the distance from this drape to the truss here, it's going to show that pretty well. Let's say I wanted to show this light here to this light. I can show that. And sorry for all of the extra little icons here. This is just in the development build, but they'll disappear and you won't actually see any of those in the live version, your own version. But anyway, so that's kind of how that works. It tries to find like an edge of a object here and then sort of snap to another object that you land on, let's say. And then an additional measurement option is if you select let me delete this one. If you select multiple objects or just a single object in the top camera view, you have this little extra option over here, and it will say, if you click on that, it'll say measure, and it will attempt to measure the objects that you have selected. So in this case, it finds a measurement here. It doesn't always necessarily work perfectly for some scenarios. So if you've rotated an object 3 or 4 or 5 times in different directions, and maybe there's a bunch of groups as well, and then you try to measure it, it might be off. Let me see if I can duplicate this and sort of get that scenario. So if I have all these objects which have already been rotated a number of times, and then I angle it like this, and then I try to measure it, the measurement's going to be a little off. So in this scenario, you might want to just use the snap to grid and measure it like this, or turn that off and measure it just like this. Or you could change the measurement as well. So anyway, so a lot of different options there, and definitely stuff to play around with there. All right, so just another note on this: it does stay on. So if you're measuring things, creating measurements, and then you go to do something else, maybe you're moving this around, maybe you go into here and add some seating or something like this. Just to make a note that these are still on until you turn them off or until you go to a different setting up here. So if I'm trying to do something, it's still going to create a measurement. If I go into a different camera view, though, it will automatically turn the ruler off because the ruler only works in the top camera view right now. Cool. So that's some notes on that. And then lastly, we've made some updates to the projector object as well. So if I go into add objects and then screens, and then if I drag out a projector, what it allows me to do is show kind of where that image is shooting. So I'll just put it right here. Basically, when I set it down, if I'm on this top camera view, it's basically going to set it on the floor unless I've set it on something else. But you see it works in the same way. If I drag this out, it's just going to sit on the floor here. If I move it up to the truss right here, it's going to kind of probably shoot over top of it. So what I might do is just set it there and then move it a little bit lower here. And then from here, you can see it's just shooting onto this. It's automatically seeing that there's some drape there. And from here, you have a bunch of different options on the right side now that you can change with the projector. So you can change the intensity. The size of it is just a generic number. It doesn't necessarily reflect the width of it up here. So I'm going to change the size of it. Let's say we want it like 16 feet or so. So this is a little bit nuanced. You kind of have to play with for a little bit. And then what I want to do from here, I guess, is you could project on anything, but I'll drag out one of these fast fold screens here. And I'll set it right there. And now if I move this projector a little bit, I think this needs to be moved up a little bit. And I'll aim this, I'll angle this downward. If I change the rotation snapping settings to 0, then I can just rotate it however much I want. And from here, I'm going to add just a white image, or really you could add any image onto it, and then decrease the intensity of it so that there's no image showing. So that basically this just acts as a normal screen without an image on it. And then the projector is projecting onto the screen. So that's kind of how you can make that work. I'm going to keystone the projector, and I'm going to change the size up a little bit. And the measurements work mostly in 16:9 right now. There's just some kind of issues with getting it in other aspect ratios. So if you're playing with this and it's not working in like a lower aspect ratio, that might be the situation, or a different aspect ratio rather. But anyway, so now if I go to my top view, I have the measurement here and the distance as well, so you can kind of calculate the lensing and stuff like that. And then finally, we actually have two more options here, so you can hide the lines if you don't necessarily want to see those. And you can also have this auto adjust on, which is almost like a auto adjust. Let me do something real quick. Add that back in there. So the way that this works is that it actually will auto adjust the whole image. So if I move this, what it does is it tries to adjust the image based on the size of the object that it's hitting. So in this case, it's trying to hit this whole object here. But if I had like a LED screen or just a basic cube, let's say like this, and maybe I change the size of this to 16:9 and move this projector, it's going to try to auto adjust the image to that exact screen size. So this can be helpful sometimes if you just want to get it to automatically find the right size, or maybe you do this and then you turn this off and then you fine tune it. But it does a pretty good job of auto adjusting as well. So anyway, so that's some updates for the week. Hopefully you're able to use those few new things in your projects, and definitely let us know if you have any questions or anything like that. Thanks.